Hey guys, Ramsey here. Welcome to another video. Today, I've got a dual unboxing video for you guys. And I've said this before, but I don't do these videos to flex or stunt or show off on for you guys or anything like that. I just want to show you what I'm going for so you get a feel for, my taste, what I'm actually buying, because these are not bottles that are coming to me from brands. They're not free bottles coming from brands that want me to talk about it. This is actual my own money that I've gone out and decided I want to spend my hard-earned dollars on this, and this fragrance. And there's 4 of them today in 2 different unboxings. And but before we do that, we're going to do scent of the day as we always do. And I love talking about discontinued fragrances. This is a fragrance that I really like, but it is one that is not as exciting for me to wear as some of my other vintage fragrances. I like it, but there's so many other things that I enjoy more. But I still want to talk through it with you guys because of the fact that it is a discontinued fragrance. It's hard to find. There's a couple different versions. There's this one from 1985. And then there's one more from 2000. If anyone knows if the one from 2000 is supposedly as good as the one from 1985, do let me know. But the fragrance we're talking about is Atkinson's Rockford with the polar bear on the front. And this is more of a spring-summer scent than a polar bear scent. Whenever I made a buy the other day, one of the ladies sent me like a notepad randomly with one of the fragrances that I purchased, and she sent me a bandana. So this is going to be my handy dandy microfiber cloth, even though it's not microfiber. This is going to take the place of the microfiber cloth that is missing. It's not up here anymore. So we're going to make sure the bottle's nice and clean for you guys. So Rockford is a release from Atkinson's. Like I said, there's another Atkinson's that I actually prefer wearing more. This is probably my favorite Atkinson's fragrance, and I showed this one off a week or 2 ago because I wore this as my scent of the day. And I said the greenness of this reminds me a little bit of Boss Spirit because there's so much green going on in here. In the top, tons of different green notes, tarragon, artemisia, on and on and on. And so if you can't get Boss Spirit, or if you have a hard time finding Boss Spirit, it is a very hard fragrance to find. I had to just buy a mini because I couldn't find a full bottle. But if you can't find Boss Spirit, never mind the money. I'm not talking about if you can afford it or if you can't afford it. I'm just saying if you have a hard time finding it, Duke Atkinson's, if you can hunt this down, is a little less known. It's a little less on that unicorn rare gem, that people are paying big money for. So that's one that, it can be a replacement for Boss Spirit. But let's talk about Atkinson's Rockford for a minute, because this kind of plays back fiddle for me to Duke Atkinson's. If I want to reach for an Atkinson's fragrance, it's usually Duke. So what I do with these splash bottles, because this is the only way that I could find this fragrance, I had to buy it in a splash. And it comes with this neat little stopper to stop it from spilling, which I really like. So this comes off and then you can decant it. But I got this from Le Parfumé, which is a site in Canada. You can look them up, leparfume.com. They do vintage perfumes. They're a little expensive though. You're gonna pay top dollar for that. But for the top dollar that you're paying, you do get the fact that that it was stored properly and all that stuff. It's not something that is set on someone's windowsill for years or anything like that. So you're going to pay top dollar, but they do have some rare and hard to find fragrances. So you can check out Le Parfumé. I got this a couple years back, I believe, from Le Parfumé. And again, this is the version from 1985. It's a very spicy, citrusy lavender. It's just beautiful for warmer weather. And that's the thing is, me, I kind of like my fragrances to have that extra pizzazz. I like that extra, that extra not really something that just catches everyone's attention, but really I wear them for myself. So I like to wear stuff that catches my attention personally, the leathers and stuff like that. I am getting into some of the, fragrances that are maybe a little bit lighter, transparent from time to time. And while I can say I enjoyed this today, here's the note tree. It's bergamot, lavender, lemon, and basil with cyclamen, mace, carnation, sandalwood, vetiver, and cedarwood in the heart, and then a base of amber, musk, moss, and tonka bean. And it's just a really light, nice lavender with vetiver, some cedar, very citrusy at the top. I would not buy this again. I'll put it this way. I do a lot of blind buying, as you know. Do as I say, not as I do. But I do enjoy a blind buy, which some of these are not blind buys coming up today, actually. And this was a blind buy that if I could take it back, would I? Probably. It's not my favorite DNA. I do enjoy it. But it's not my favorite. It reminds me a little bit, not a lot, but just a little bit of this discontinued fragrance. And I actually like this one more too. This is Boss Elements. And Boss Elements, this is also a splash. This was the only way I could get this. And so what I do is I basically just decant them into these little decanters here. And so Boss Elements, for some reason, reminds me just a touch of Rockford. And if I had to pick one, I would probably go for Boss Elements, personally. This is the way that I look at this is the last really good Boss release before they really went downhill. Some people will say Boss Bottled and stuff like that. I don't like Boss Bottled. I don't like that apple pie. That's too, that's not really my thing. So I stayed away from Boss Bottled. But Elements is the last Boss fragrance. I always say the big three are Hugo Boss #1, Boss Sport, and then Boss Spirit. Those are the big three Boss fragrances for me. But I did enjoy it. It is a discontinued fragrance. If you don't know about it, it's at least worth looking up, but don't pay big money for this. This is not worth big money to me. There's some vintage fragrances where I would easily tell you, if you're gonna spend that kind of money, is it worth it? Yes or no, just value for money. For me, this is not worth it, value for money. If you get a really good deal, and you're a collector like me, is it worth getting and wearing? Yes, it's a great fragrance, but it doesn't move me. It doesn't do enough to justify a big elevated vintage price tag, if that makes sense. So that'll be a one and done bottle for me. All right, let's do the unboxing. So the first unboxing that we're gonna do is an Andy Tower scent. And so I'll tell you a story that actually happened with this. And this is how I approach my fragrance buying sometimes. So this has actually been on my watch list for over a year, maybe a year and a half even. I've been watching it, and I haven't pulled the trigger. It's been something that I set up a watch list, and I kind of keep an eye out on what's out there. And I saw a bottle come up that was like 98% full, right? So a little bit of a discounted price. And I offered him even more of a discounted price. And the guy said, you know what? I'm moving in a month. I have to sell it. If it doesn't sell in a month, it's yours at that better price. And I said, okay. So I sat back and I waited. And sure enough, about 5 days later, he wrote me and said, I got to move early. Here, it's yours if you still want it. And I said, absolutely. And it is Accord du Désert. And so I have, if you guys know, I only own 2 Andy Tower fragrances, believe it or not. One is the famed L'air du Désert Marocain. And my favorite Andy Tower fragrance is Lone Star Memories. I love Lone Star Memories. It's a beautiful, artful fragrance. One of the reviewers I really trust, AC from Smells Good, just did a review on Lone Star Memories, and he did a great job, except for he didn't mention the geranium, which I think the geranium is a big aspect of this fragrance. It comes later on, you know, that cowboy getting dirty, burning his coffee on like a old, you know, metal coffee maker they used to use in the old days. Let's say he passes out because he's tired, he's got his leather boots on, and then he gets up, he realizes he burned the coffee, and he says, screw it, I'm not going to have coffee anymore, I'm going to have tea. And so he starts making tea, and then he decides to take a shower with geranium soap, and that geranium soap just kind of washes everything away. So you get this beautiful resins and, you know, smoke and leather, and then you get the clean aspect of geranium, which geranium can do, at least to my nose. And Lone Star Memory is a beautiful story fragrance. If you want a fragrance that starts somewhere and ends somewhere and tells you a beautiful story, Lone Star Memories is fantastic. His best work to my nose. Now, a lot of people started telling me, yes, L'air du Désert Marocain is good, but he made a fragrance that's basically an extrait de parfum version of L'air du Désert Marocain. And he called it Au Cœur du Désert. So this is one that has been on my watch list for a long time, like I said, and I finally got it at a price that I thought was a good price for me. And this is the thing about this hobby, because it's one of the best hobbies in the world, in my opinion. It draws on, it gets your mind, your emotions, you learn about what happened in the past. It's like learning a history of almost an entirely different world. The perfume world is like an entirely different world, and you're learning its history. You're learning it through scent, through smells. And this bottle is special because Andy Tower signed it. So he actually signed which he signs a lot of the bottles, so I guess it's not that special. But he does a lot of these signings where he'll go somewhere, or he used to before COVID. I don't know if he still does it. This is a 2016 release, and look how little of the bottle is used. Let me see if I can show you guys this. Can you see the level? Let's see if I can turn this up. It's like right here, basically. Right here. So it's like literally maybe 1% of the bottle is used, and I got a great deal. And so it does smell fantastic from the bottle. This is definitely a cold weather fragrance. Definitely all of his fragrances that I own are cold weather, because he does such a fantastic job with notes like amber, labdanum, balsamic notes, you know, stuff like that. There's a beautiful patchouli note in this. It smells like there's beautiful spices in this, so I can't wait to wear this. But sometimes what I'll do when I get a fragrance like this, and it's not weather specific, is I'll just put it aside. I won't even wear it. I'll just set it aside, and then when September, October rolls around and we get that first cold day, I'll whip this out and I'll try it and wear it and you know, really get to know it. And that takes some restraint, you know, because most people want to get it and spray it on right away, but I try to be a little bit patient sometimes. I might wear it to bed once or twice, but I don't think I'm going to give that a full wear until the weather cools off. There's also supposedly real ambergris in Au Cœur du Désert, and it is extrait de parfum, whereas the L'air du Désert Marocain is eau de toilette intense. So the Au Cœur du Désert is an extrait de parfum. So it's supposed to be even more, you know, it's like L'air du Désert Marocain, but more. And Sebastian from, what's his channel called? The Perfume Guy now. He used to be Looking Good, Smelling Great fragrance reviews or something, but Sebastian put this Au Cœur du Désert as his #1 Andy Tower fragrance. So, very blessed to get a fantastic deal on this. And there you go. My 3rd Andy Tower. And it's signed. So, very nice. Very excited. Let me set this aside. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to set the box aside because I don't like to keep my fragrances in the box. Because I like to be able to just reach back and get them, you know, if I want to show it to you guys or something like that. Let's see. Let me try to shut this. Okay, there you go. Shut. I'll find a place for the box later. Okay, next on the list, we've got the big one. And this is the 3 fragrance haul. Let me dig into this for you. This guy always does a fantastic job of boxing these, and I really trust him. I'll give him a shout out once I get this opened up. But basically what we have, let's do the samples first. He always sends me amazing samples. All right, so, and I should mention too, one thing I should mention really quick. He sent me a sample of this. Sorry, I've got my comfy pants on, but I kept a nice shirt on for you guys. He sent me a sample of this fragrance, and it's right here. And because he sent me this sample over a year ago, you can see I've given it a good amount of wear. It created a purchase. So I just want to mention that when I unbox the Bortnikoff, it is literally because of his, this is what should be done. People send you samples, and then I went back to the person that sent me the sample. I didn't go, you know, to Bortnikoff's website and buy it directly. I went to this guy, and he has a specific, website, which I will give a shout out to because I really trust him. He's one of the people now that I've gotten maybe 4 or 5, 6 hauls from over the years, and everything is always perfect. Here, let me show you the samples first of all. Thank you for your order, and look at the care that he takes. I mean, it's beautiful. I love working with people that, you know, take pride in what they do. They don't just throw it in there. Let me see if his name's on these new ones. If it's not, I'll show you the old one. It is. Okay. His name is on here. Good. Okay. So, the first one, the first sample that he sent me, Anatolia by Prin. And there's his website right there. It's called fragnanimous.com. And he's an officially licensed dealer of Bortnikoff, Arise Ladore. Who's the other one from Canada? Meleg. I've never smelled any Meleg fragrances ever. I mean, I would like to. I just never have. And so, can't really smell from the atomizer, but he is a guy who I like working with people like him. I like working with people, like I said, that I trust, that I know will put everything together properly, that I know it was stored properly, all this kind of stuff. So I like going back to Fragnanimous, and his name's Lee. His website's fragnanimous.com. He's fantastic. If you reach out to him, I think I got the itch like Sunday night or something, you know. And I sent him an email, and he literally got back to me like in an hour or something. I mean, he is like on the ball. And so good to work with people like that. So this next one is Anthamara by Prin. So we got some Prin samples here. I've actually never smelled anything from the Prin brand, which is the more expensive brand. I do own a fragrance that Prin Lomros creates, his other brand, his cheaper brand, and that is Strangers. And this is Cigar Rum. So if you like fragrances like Nishane's Fan Your Flames, you might like something like this, except there's a very interesting seaweed note in this. Tobacco and rum are two of my favorite wintertime notes. I love boozy fragrances and I love tobacco fragrances. But this adds this crazy sweetness from the seaweed, almost like you could wear it any time of the year, you know. I usually still wear it a little bit more in the cooler weathers, but cigar rum is one that I do really like. So I'm excited to try that Prin brand. The other one he sent me is a fragrance called Rasani. Rasani. Oh, interesting. I don't know what any of these mean. So I'll have to, once I do first impressions or that kind of thing, I'll try to find the meaning of some of these. Prin Lamras is another one of those perfumers that is, I think, headquartered in Thailand, if I'm not mistaken. Kind of like Bortnikoff and Arise Ladore. So this other one is Varuk. This is the one I was very excited in trying, because this is supposed to be Prin Lamras's take on Castoreum. It's supposed to be his take on Castoreum. Sorry, after a long work day, sometimes my brain is just... so if I can't think of a word right away, forgive me. But plus, it was a bad day today in the market. It was down 1,000 points. This last one is Okachol. I don't know anything about these names. They're all crazy names, but I'm excited to try his work. Thank you, Lee. I know these are expensive fragrances, so just even this little, 40% full sample is a lot. I know that's a lot of juice for a very expensive fragrance, so I appreciate your, looking out for me there. That's very kind. So since I already let the cat out of the bag that it is a Bortnikoff fragrance, that one of the fragrances that I got from Lee is a Bortnikoff fragrance, let's do that fragrance. And it came about because of a sample. And there's the sample that he sent me long ago. It's called Lao Oud. And to be honest, I would have loved to buy one of the Arise Ladore fragrances from Fragnanimous. But the only one he has was Civet de Nuit. And while I really did enjoy that fragrance, it's not really my style as much. I would have much preferred Ottoman Empire or, something like that. Russian Oud or, one of those. So instead I got a Bortnikoff, which is the closest thing to Arise Ladore that I have found. And here's the box, by the way. If you've never seen a Bortnikoff box, the box isn't impressive. It's what's inside the box that's really nice. Whoops, I guess I should show it the right way to you guys. There you go. So if you don't know the story of Dmitry Bortnikoff and Russian Adam, they were partners in this oud distilling operation called Feel Oud. And they both went on to kind of found their own perfume brands. And the thought process was that, so it just comes like this in this little box, but this is the nice part. This little, embroidered box, this little coffin that it lives in. And there is Lao Oud. There's the oud, there's the ingredient list. If you want to pause and read that, I'll go back to it in just a second. There is the bottle. So, Lao Oud, so good. So both of these gentlemen, Arise Ladore or Russian Adam and Dmitry Bortnikoff, decided to found their own brands because they started to distill oud, real oud, and they wanted to share with the world how real oud smells, because they were smelling, perfumes from Tom Ford or Dior oud fragrances or whatever it was, and they were realizing that it's not true to the oud name, if you will. Oud doesn't smell that way. They wanted to share some of the natural ingredients that they were distilling and smelling and show the world what real oud smells like. And so this Lao Oud, basically, this came out last year, 2021, and it's got pink pepper, magnolia, beeswax, absolute, cinnamon, chamomile, Peru balsam, and cacao absolute. In the base, Laotian oud, tonka bean, terminali elliptica. I don't know what that is. Coffee. Coffee's a big note in this. Indian oud, vanilla absolute, birch tar, and gyak wood. So I saw a little blurb actually on Lao Oud that I figured I would share with you guys. And this is what Dmitry Bortnikoff had to say. He said, I have made many compositions with oud. Each of them has a unique character. However, the note of oud in my fragrances had never been so powerful and animalic before the release of the new Lao Oud. 6 months ago, a magnificent oil from Laos fell into my hands. It smelled of honey and flowers with a characteristic animalic note. I have been lucky enough to visit Laos more than 20 times. This is a beautiful, small and hospitable country where time seems to have stopped at the end of the 19th century. Therefore, remembering numerous trips to Laos, I almost immediately found the main harmonies for the composition, which was based on the oil of Lao Oud. This oil smells extremely close to Indian, but it is much softer. It supplemented it with the note of beautiful Lao coffee, frangipani flowers, the smell of incense that comes from many ancient monasteries in Laos, and fresh spices, cinnamon and pink pepper. So, the new Lao Oud appeared. A walk through Vientiane, an ancient city on the Mekong River, the most oudy and coffee-like animalic fragrance in the Bortnikoff Parfums collection. And it is. It basically opens up. It's almost like, here's the best way I can describe Lao Oud. If you know this fragrance, I only have one of the two I want to reference, but if you know Oud Maximus, so this is like Lao Oud is like if you take Oud Maximus and you blend it with Oud Monarch, which is his chocolate gourmand oud fragrance, which I also have, but it's under lock and key. It's not up here. And then you added a beautiful note of coffee. This is a fantastic execution of coffee. And I do like coffee in my fragrances. There's some beautiful coffee fragrances I've talked about. I'll do it. This is not a top 10 coffee fragrance one day if I haven't already. But absolutely fantastic. You know, that Oud Maximus, that fertilizer, rotting wood, blue cheese, however your nose, you know, understands the oud, the different note, the different facets of it that you smell. You get that animalic oud in Lao Oud, but you also get it mixed with that lovely coffee. Oh, I just love it. I absolutely love this fragrance. So that goes back to the fact that, you know, a decant was sent to me. He also sent me a decant of Tabac Doré, which I appreciate the decant, but this is not full bottle worthy to me. I mean, if you're a tobacco lover, there's beautiful tobacco absolute in this, but I didn't love it the way I loved the Lao Oud. So that just goes to show, you send samples to your customers, they smell it, they get to know it. And it's a pretty decent sized sample. I mean, this is like a 3 ml sample that he sent me. And so I appreciate that. That's what ended up getting me to actually pull the trigger on this bottle, is an old sample that he sent to me. So that's the first one. And the second one is, you know, Lee has on his website, he has a couple of like 95% full fragrances that are used, but just gently used, right? And so I ended up getting this for a fantastic price. The Bortnikoff I paid full price for, but this one he gave me a deal on, and this is MFK's Oud, which, you know, it's a synthetic oud, obviously. It's not, well, maybe there's some real oud in this. I take that back. I can't say it's a synthetic oud for sure. Maybe MFK uses a drop or two or a little bit of real oud in this. So there could be real oud. How much? I don't know. But it's going to be more along the lines of a, you know, something like this. Tom Ford's oud wood. You know, these two compete in the same swimming pool, let's say. And so these are very expensive where I'm at in the USA. And so to get a good deal on a partial bottle like that as part of a haul was a no-brainer to me. Let me read you off some of the notes for MFK's oud. And probably the last MFK fragrance I will buy. I do own Absolute Pour Le Soir, which I did a first impression on it, and there was some sweetness in there that kind of bothered me, but I will continue to stick with it. And, all right, my computer just decided to crash on me. Hang on one second. Let me see if I can reset this real fast. We'll do this on the sly. It did it with me when I was doing my 100 countdown. It happened at like 20, and I almost freaked out. If you go watch that video, it's going to send a code to my phone. Hang on. Okay, there you go. Code sent. Approve. All right, let's see if we're back in. Okay, we're back. We're in action. Maison, Francis, Kurkdjian, oud. And I think it's the same house that owns, I think LVMH owns MFK. That's right, LVMH. So this is Laotian oud with Singapore patchouli, saffron, Atlas cedar, and Philippine elemi. This is just the regular eau de parfum. This is not the extrait. And so he gave me a great deal on this. This is why it's important to make, you know, friends in the community, to make acquaintances, to make connections. You know, when something like this comes up, because I was only going to buy this. But, you know, since he gave me kind of a package deal, I had to, I couldn't say no to these cheaper partials. And then, even better of a price is someone bought this from him in 2018, I believe. It says Bois d'Argent 2018. Maybe that's the batch. But they bought this 30 ml decant of Bois d'Argent, and I got a fantastic deal on this. So, Lee, thank you, my friend. I know we've worked together before, and I know you've always taken good care of me, and everything is perfect just like it always is. And so it comes with this little atomizer. So let's see if I can put the atomizer on. I wonder if I should leave it closed till I use it. So Bois d'Argent is a fragrance that I've been watching for a while now, and then to make matters even more interesting, is Bois d'Argent is one of the fragrances that Maison, not MFK, but Francis Kurkdjian, now that he's in-house perfumer at Dior, is going to rework. He's reworking 4 fragrances. And Bois d'Argent is one of them. And so, you know me in reformulations, this is actually already a Francis Kurkdjian reformulation because Annick Menardo made the original Bois d'Argent in 2004. And so if this is a 2018 decant, it's already Demaché's reformulation. And then now Francis Kurkdjian is going to reformulate it. So I said, forget it. I don't want to mess with the new bottle, even though I'm sure it'll probably be just fine. And I got such a great deal on this decant that I had to say yes. It's basically a unisex fragrance. That's this woody, powdery fragrance with Yemenite frankincense, very specific type of frankincense, Somalian Myrrh, Florentine Iris Absolute, which is one of the best irises in the world, Indonesian Patchouli, which is where most of the world's patchouli comes from, Amber, woody notes, honey, leather, and white musk. So, be very excited to give this a full wear. I love Anique Minardo's work. I did a perfumer's portfolio video on her. If you're interested, go watch that video where I talked about some of my favorites. And speaking of Anique Minardo, coming up soon, I have a comparison video between these two beauties coming up soon. Jaipur Eau de Parfum and Jaipur Eau de Toilette. So Anique Minardo is a perfumer that I obviously love. I love her work. I think she's amazing, and I'm very much looking forward to getting to know Bois d'Argent. So, thanks for watching the video. Thanks for all of the support, commenting, subscribing, liking, all the stuff you guys do that, you know, helps with my exposure on YouTube. I appreciate the support everyone's giving me. You know, it's like a wind at my back. It really it really lifts me up and keeps me going, and gives me the willpower to go do these videos even after a long day's work. So I appreciate everyone watching, guys. Cheers, and I'll see you again tomorrow with another video. Bye-bye.